So let me go ahead and take you to the tool, and you'll see it's right here under OEV for Business / SizeUp. And what you'll see when you get to this page is we're only asking two very simple questions. What industry are you in, and where within the county are you working from? So it could be Tallahassee, could be Woodville, you get the idea. So in this case, let's go ahead and look at, say, coffee shops, and we'll look in Tallahassee. And this will take you to the actual tool where you can enter information. So right away, we could say, hey, what do I think the average coffee shop is making in terms of revenue? Mind you, this isn't profit. That's a very, very different equation. But we can go ahead and look at revenue, and we can say, hey, maybe I think the average coffee shop is making $1 million of revenue per year. And what you'd see is we're actually fairly close. We're looking at almost $987,000 for the average coffee shop. Now, as I mentioned, we can go really low at a coffee shop, or you may say, hey, I have my grandmother's secret marinara recipe. So I could look at Italian. Or as we know, we also put that on pizza. We can see the average Italian restaurant is making $2 million. The average pizza restaurant, 1.3. So we just figured out, if I have my grandmother's secret recipe, there's more money in chicken parm and fettuccine alfredo than there is in pepperoni and mushroom. Or we can step back and say, you know what? I have skills in restaurants. Let me look at restaurants as an entire industry. And we can see the blend here. So now that I've showed you how you just enter information and then you get direct feedback, let me walk you through how this tool works. So you're going to enter the value here. You're going to see your national ranking as a percentile right over here. And then you'll see how you measure up at the city, county, metro level. You're also going to get a heat map showing you where businesses in your industry are making more or less money. And then you can follow up by zooming in and seeing what businesses in that area might be doing. Now, revenue is just part of the puzzle. So we can look at the overall trends. So let's say that I started my restaurant in 2012. I'm thinking about pivoting. This is going to show us all of the restaurants opening year over year. Now, we're seeing at the national level. Maybe we're not a national business, so we could go ahead and get rid of nation. Maybe I'm not even interested in what's happening in Florida. Maybe I'm just interested in what's happening at the city, county, or metro level. You can see here at the bottom of the map that I'm able to select exactly what you are looking for. So you're going to see this information, and you're going to go ahead and see that there are specific openings. So in 2021, 49 cities, 58 counties, and 75 metros were there. And we can go ahead and move down here. We can look at salary. So this is oftentimes very opaque for people in a given industry when they don't have that professional back office. So I went ahead and put in $20,000, so we can see where people are getting those average salaries, county, state, and national levels. We can also look at the number of employees. So let's say 15. And we can see that actually the average restaurant within Tallahassee has 21 employees. So I'm actually a lot smaller than the typical restaurant. I can see where restaurants are both bigger and smaller in terms of what is happening within these given regions throughout the area. And then we're going to start getting hyper-local information on cost effectiveness or on revenue per capita. So we can actually compare the businesses that are earning this revenue compared to the businesses or the households that are spending it. So you can see the differential. And then lastly, we have local turnover. So imagine if you were that 10-person restaurant and you were losing one person per year, and you might think, oh, I'm losing a tenth of my workforce. It's a frustration for me. I'm not able to replace that talented workforce, and it's been a real issue. But objectively, through the lens of data, you should be losing about 2.5 people per year. So what you thought was a weakness is actually a strength for you. We can also look at things like healthcare costs and workers' compensation. These are fairly straightforward, but what you'll notice here is if you go to the summary view, you get an entire summary of all of the information that you can then export to a PDF, as I mentioned. And so now you're going to go ahead and get an entire dashboard of how your business is performing. And then if you, of course, wanted to share that with someone else, you could do so via the PDF. So let me pause here. That's the first of 4 modules. I just want to see if we have any questions specific to the modules. Okay, I don't see any questions via chat or Q&A. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward with the next module on the tool, which is the competition module. So the example that I had before was specific to what we would call, a B to C or business to consumer, right? It's a retail one. And you can use this tool for a B2C business. One of the cool things here is when we're showing all the restaurants right now, the other thing that we can do is we could actually overlay this information with the type of spending that's happening in our industry. So we could look at food and beverages. We can look at food away from home. So this is dining out. And you can see the heat map here. You can switch between totals and averages. And we could dive in, just like I showed you before, with pizza, Italian, and then all restaurants. We could be just as specific here. So if I were a coffee shop, I could dive into this level of analysis. So this is breakfast and brunch spending. I'm going to go ahead and clean up this map here just as we go forward, because I want to talk about a different example. So let's go ahead and change, instead of looking at restaurants, let's look at carpenters and carpentry related businesses. So, and we're going to focus on more of a B2B example, a business that's selling to other businesses. So here we go. We can see here's Dixie Cabinets. We could visit their website, find out more about what they're doing. These are our competitors, and that's useful. But maybe I'm a carpenter and I actually sell to, or my services or products to home builders. So you can see we can go to customers and then click on industry, and we can look at single family home construction. And what we'll see right here is now we've actually mapped all of the single family home builders. And this is really great. Maybe I'm a finish carpenter, or maybe I'm that cabinet maker. And as we know, people need cabinets in their homes, but we also have lawyers, attorneys, doctors who need cabinets. So you can add or subtract as many industries as you want. So we could go ahead and look at commercial and office building construction. So now we're looking at all of these businesses that are based on commercial and office building or single family home construction businesses. And this is really fantastic. The other thing that we have to look at is the supply chain. I'm a carpenter, right? So as a carpenter, we'd have to see what is going on in terms of our various options in terms of getting the product that we need. So let's go ahead and go to suppliers, and we will go to, let me see. Let's say that we're just working on regular, projects. So we can go to hardware stores. And so we're going to see that here's the Harbor Freights and the Lowe's and things of that nature. In the same way that I showed you with customers, that we can overlay data across multiple industries, here's what we can do here. We can actually go ahead on the supply chain and say, hey, I'm not really interested so much in hardware stores. I'm working on bigger projects. So I could go ahead and look at lumber wholesalers. So if you needed a product, you can see the information always starts from your local community, but you can go ahead and pan the map and go, there's this special pine tree that grows up in, oh goodness, I don't know where this is, in Stewartson, Illinois. And you can find out that the special Illinois pine tree is available there and do your analysis. And again, similar to what you've seen with the other tool, you can go ahead and export that information to a PDF. And then here is your full report showing you your competitors, your customers or potential customers if you're using this for prospecting, and then your supply chain right here. So this is the second of the 4 tools in SizeUp Tallahassee, Leon County. That is the competition tool. It allows you to understand the entire ecosystem spatially that you're working with. Were there any particular questions specific to this tool? I don't see it. So I will go ahead and move on to the third tool. So this is the advertising tool. So the advertising tool, you can use it for any industry that you're interested on. I'm going to go ahead and talk about a story that I think is something that I can speak a lot about because it's a very personal one to me. I have two daughters, 10 and 5, and they both hated going to the dentist. So we started searching for a dentist that was a family dentist. We found one that had a very unique value proposition. He has TV screens, flat screens on the ceiling with wireless headphones, and he uses nitrous instead of needles. So if you're a 5 or a 10-year-old, you're very excited to not have needles. So I met him, talked with him, and he had one location in the Austin, Texas region where I was from at that time. But we traveled 25 miles to go see him. So if we were a dentist, we can go ahead and put this in. And we can find out where dentists are making the most amount of money. So this is quite literally the Jerry Maguire way, right? Show me the money way of thinking about advertising. So these are the zip codes that are spending the most money on dental services. Now, my dentist was interesting. He was starting a new type of dentistry, family dentistry, specifically for kids, and his value proposition was different. So let me take you to where this can really matter. If you go over here to filters, we can plug something in like, I'm willing to travel 25 miles to go see this dentist. So now you've picked up new zip codes that would match your unique, value proposition, product or service. So the other thing is he's a dentist and he's going to charge a little bit more. So you could look for household incomes over a very specific size. Now we're down to 10 zip codes. More than that, he's a dentist, so you got to be old enough to have teeth. So we're going to go to, I guess we could go to age 5. So we'll go to age 5. But not so old that you started losing teeth. Maybe we go to 40. There we go. Now we're at 7 zip codes. And instead of looking at total revenue, we're actually going to look at underserved markets. So you can see there's different ways that we can analyze these, how we want to market and use our marketing dollar. So now what you're seeing are the zip codes that are underserved. So these are areas that you might want to target. Now, we're not telling you how to target them. That's a different thing, but you might know your business. So you might know whether it makes more sense to reach out on Instagram or Twitter or Google AdWords or Facebook, or if there are chambers, billboards, newspapers, whatever it might be, you now know where to target because these are the areas where there's higher expenditures but lower revenue. So these areas are underserved, and these are the areas that you would want to target. So again, I've showed you an example of B2C again, so business to consumer. You can do your advertising report. You're going to get all of that information that we just put in. Here it is, 25 miles. And what you'll see is that all of the information that you put in here in filters is now available via your advertising report. So that's the information right there. You could do the same thing with B2C. So for example, let's go back to how you could use this tool. So imagine if you were looking at a single family home construction and you wanted to see what the average sizes of those businesses. So about 5 in your area. Well, that's really interesting. So let's go back to the advertising tool and say that you're a carpenter and you want to figure out where to advertise in single family home construction. We could actually look not at revenue or money because houses are expensive things. So that might be a little bit misleading, but maybe you want to figure out where you want to advertise. And houses are big things, right? You might travel maybe 50 miles to build a house. We're going to clear all of the demographic filters here. We're going to see that there's 42 zip codes where we could advertise. Maybe that's a little bit beyond our advertising budget. So let's go ahead and look at industry performance. And let's focus on those smaller home builders. We don't want to work with the Lennar, KB Homes, Cal Atlantics. We want to focus on small home builders that are smaller, that have between 1 to 10 employees. So now you're seeing all of the areas that you might want to market to that have smaller single family home builders. So this is the advertising tool. It allows you to understand exactly where you want to target your marketing. And then you can choose whether it's online or offline, how you want to market to the companies or unique consumers in those areas. I will pause here as I have on other and see if there are any questions about this. Okay, great question. So as I mentioned, this tool can go as large as you want it to be. So it's your trade area. So let's say that you had a, do you want to tell me what business you're in? You just put it in chat. I don't see anything right now, so I'll make this up. something that we saw a lot during the pandemic. So imagine if you're a jewelry designer and you're trying to figure out underserved markets. Let's go ahead and clear these filters for the business. And you're selling on Etsy, eBay, Poshmark, all of those online tools. You could go ahead and say, hey, I'm really focused on households that are, if we just did it nationally, and we went for total revenue, unsurprisingly for jewelry, it's New York, Los Angeles, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Chicago. But if I was focused on, say, families that didn't have as much household income, maybe I'm making homemade jewelry for, now all of a sudden, I'm looking at different areas, Louisville, Kentucky, Champaign, Illinois, Springfield, Massachusetts, that matches my particular criteria. So you can see with your filters, you can go nationwide. If you were exporting a product, selling a product outside of the Tallahassee region, if you want to do your analysis, you can do that, just like I showed you with the competition map. You can always choose to navigate to another area or set your filter so you can go to a larger area. Right. This is a great question. Any other questions? Looking at chat. Okay, I don't see anything about this tool. So I'm going to go ahead and take you to the next tool, which is the demographic tool. So I've showed you the other three tools, the benchmarking tool, which allows you to understand objectively how you're performing against competitors in your industry, the competition tool, which shows you the entire ecosystem, and the advertising tool, which maximizes each dollar that you spend on advertising. This is the demographic tool. It is in some ways the most powerful tool. It's also the tool that requires being really thoughtful about how you are engaging with your information, because you can look at stuff like the demographic overview for the metro region or the county or whatever it is. These are the things that you see on the news all the time. This is how many people are there. But a lot of businesses tend not to worry about that. So we could just choose, there we go, 123 White Drive in Tallahassee, Florida, and we can do site-specific analysis. So we could say within 10 miles, what are the overall characteristics of this? There's about just over 250,000 people. This is the breakdown in gender, age, race, household size, income, labor force status. So really valuable information. I don't know about you, but I don't walk everywhere. So maybe we want to look at it from drive time. So you can switch from minutes here to miles here, depending on the type of analysis that you want to do. We might look at consumer expenditures. So now we're showing, again, not generic, but specific to this address, or we could choose a different address, West Tharp Street. And we can see the information relative to that. And we might want to turn on a heat map to show how much people are spending on dining away from home. So you can see that information right there. I'm going to show you something else. So I showed you for a place, city, county, region, and I showed you around address. Let me turn this off so you can see it and show you a really cool tool, which is the within a boundary tool. So let's say you really know your market. You know exactly where you want to sell or where you want to recruit employees or the businesses. You could actually come here and say, I'm really interested in going over these particular transportation corridors. And we're going to draw a very specific shape here. Oh, there's construction over here. We'll avoid that area. We just happen to have an ex-girlfriend in this part of town. We'll avoid it. Whatever it is that you want to do. And we can actually go ahead and create a report on this specific geography here. So we just found out that within this shape, there are 14,421 businesses, 141,867 employees. These are the size of the businesses. These are the businesses by type. What happens if I was trying to recruit people to work for me? For my carpentry company, I'm doing really well. I'm building homes. I'm working on office projects. I might want to identify where those workers are. So here's total employees by occupation. Now, I'm not interested in the same way I showed you looking at like restaurants, Italian and pizza. I don't want to look at all construction and extraction workers. There's 7,225. I'm looking just for construction workers. So I could look at construction workers here. That's 9,753, but I'm not building like bridges or dams. So I can go even further in and say, I just want to identify those 1,111 construction workers. That's 0.79% of the workforce. Now, right now, I'm showing you this information at the zip code level, but I want to show you something. This is hyper local information. So now we see where there are no construction workers, and we can see other areas where there's 173. Or we can look at it not as aggregate numbers, but as a percentage, because certain areas are going to be more dense. So there's just going to be more people there, period. But now I'm actually looking at the percentage of overall workers. So in a work category where there's only 0.79% of the workforce working in that industry, I can actually see areas where there's 13% of the people who are working in that industry. So a super powerful tool. And whether it's consumer expenditures, or again, we're looking around a specific address, 2415 North Monroe Street, 10 minutes, we can actually look at consumer expenditures. And let's say that I'm targeting, not that this is supposed to be a dating app, but let's say that I have a women's boutique or a beauty salon, and I want to identify where 20 to 29-year-olds are. So I can see where that percentage of 20 to 29-year-olds are, or look at aggregate, depending if I'm trying to find a denser area. The tool can provide the deep neighborhood level analysis that you're interested in, regardless of the type of business you're in. You just have to select the type of analysis that you want to do. So all of this information is available to you at your fingertips 24/7, based on your unique business in your unique location with your unique value proposition, service, or product. But all four of these tools together should give you all the information to help you succeed. So if you're a business that might die, you can now survive. And if you're a business that's surviving, you can now thrive by making better informed decisions through objective data. I hope this has been really helpful. We have left time if you want to run through specific scenarios or you have questions, we're here to answer them. So as I mentioned, please chat with us and let us know if there's any questions that we can answer. Here's a Q&A. Fantastic question. So this is from where do you get your information from? Let me actually switch back to PowerPoint briefly, and I can run you through that. There we go. So hopefully you're seeing PowerPoint again. So we have hundreds and hundreds of different data sets in our tool. So you noticed when we were in the benchmarking tool, we had things like unemployment, insurance, and things of that nature. A lot of that comes from government sources. So it's from the Bureau of Economic Analysis, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, so on and so forth. We tend to think of information as being in buckets. So let's talk about the three that we think are of great interest for you. And so we'll look at the industry, or what we call firmographic data, the demographic data, and then the geographic data. So the information that we showed you about workers and things of that nature, that information is updated annually when it's from government sources. And then we have different data vendors that do projections on that for consumer expenditures, demographics, labor, and workforce. That information is updated every 6 months. So you have both current year and then 5-year projections along with that. The firmographic information, so the information about each of those individual businesses that you saw as points on the map, and then the measurements from them, the size of the business, the number of employees, all of that information is updated every 3 months. So I do want to qualify that. We update the data every 3 months, but sometimes that data can be in arrears of like 3 to 6 months. So new businesses may have opened that aren't on our system, or businesses that have closed might not have been removed. So anywhere from 3 months to 9 months in a worst case scenario is what you should be seeing. And that's why it's really important. We update Megan and the team at OEV on this information. So make sure you sign up for their newsletters, their communications, because as we make updates, and that includes not just data, but the functionality on the tools, we add new tools. We provide those updates to them so they can share that with you. So I hope that answered your question. It really varies by industry. As you know, attorneys have to pass the bar exam. CPAs, have to pass their CPA exam. So depending on whether you're a restaurant or attorney, the information can be updated at different time periods, but we get it from the same base level data providers that are used by Google and Yelp and Apple Maps and things of that nature. So I hope that was a helpful overview over the data and the time periods in which it's updated. Let me go back to the chat and see if we have any other questions or in the Q&A. Well, so this is normally a question that I think Megan would answer, but I'm happy to answer it for her. So the answer is the tool's free. The question is, how much does it cost to use the tool? The tool is free. It's an investment that is made by the team at the Office of Economic Vitality, and it's free to use every day, 365, 24/7. The real value, of course, for you is the data that provides, and for your local community, it's the value that a local business provides. I don't have the most up-to-date statistics, but it's something along the lines of 82 or 84 cents for every dollar that is generated by a local business recirculates within that community. Whereas, a national business, that money recirculates only at about like 62, 64 cents per dollar. So it is free. They've invested in you, in your success of your business. So we're really happy to share that you can access this 24/7 for free. You can do as many searches as you want. It's all you can eat, as they say. So let me see if there's any additional questions. I don't see any coming in. Oh, I apologize. There, a question just came in. Is it available to businesses outside of Tallahassee? The answer is the analysis must always start within Tallahassee and Leon County. So you have a competitive advantage over some of those other businesses in your ability to do analysis. But your analysis can extend to whatever, as I showed you, nationally, state, whatever you think your trade area is, you can do the analysis that way. So that hopefully answers that question. Fantastic. I really appreciate the feedback, and please do keep that feedback coming to Megan and the team. We're not local economic development and business support specialists anymore. So the feedback that we get from you via Megan and her team is what allows us to continue to innovate, to support you in your endeavors. So thank you so much for everything. If you have any questions, Megan and the team are on standby. This video is recorded, so if you want to come back and visit it, feel free to do so. Otherwise, dive into the tool and have fun and continued success. Thank you all so much. Have a great, great day. Bye.